For many people that are wondering about finance, right across the GCC, when are the next IPOs? We've seen some huge ones. Buy Taxis, Pew Health, even MBC, made for a really strong finish to end out 2023. But it's sort of been a 3-year IPO boom across most of the Gulf countries.
Well, I agree with you, and especially the government entries coming out and letting it become a government and public partnership has definitely seen a very positive, interest from not just from people but from institutions as well.
Saudi media behemoth MBC Group, they announced plans for a stake sale of 10% for its IPO. But to get more details about this, we are joined once again by our financial expert, Abhishek Dutta. Abhishek, thank you very much for joining us here with Kitch and Neeil.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
It's really been a booming period over the last couple of years. I mean, the bulk of the world's IPOs have all been here across the GCC. Can we see this trend continue over the next 12 to 18 months?
I think so because, what has happened today is the capital is moving to, places that are considered safer to invest in today. And we can see that the Middle East, UAE, Saudi, are safe places to park your money. There's not as much volatility. The governments are stable. So that adds to a sense of comfort. And then you have also businesses that are now becoming more open, more public. I think the government is making an effort to list these businesses because that will, improve corporate governance as well. So I think all of that put together makes for an interesting mix and, gives out positive vibes to investors.
Investors normally flock in and try their luck at getting their hands at at the IPO level itself. And we saw with Dubai Taxi, it was oversubscribed within the first 1 hour of it announcing available. Now, what does one do when they are not as lucky to get their hands on stocks like these at the IPO level?
But it shouldn't matter because see, if it's a good company and if it's fairly valued at the IPO stage, then there are times where you will still get that opportunity to invest. So every stock, whether it's an IPO or it's a secondary market, you have to look at the merits. It's not like every IPO is successful, right?
Right.
I mean, yes, 70% of the IPOs have done well, but there are IPOs like Investcorp that have still not closed above their the initial price. So you will have those mixed bags, but at the same time you will always get opportunities to buy. The market will always give you an opportunity to buy a stock. You just have to be patient. You have to do your due diligence. I mean, sometimes people get over exuberant and because everyone's doing it, let me also do it without looking at the demerits of a stock. I think that's also sometimes something to be wary of. But at the same time, if you feel the company is good, it's going to give you returns, you've gone through the numbers and you feel it's a good investment, you should go ahead and do it.
But then with companies like, say, Salik, Empower, Diva, now Dubai Taxi, understanding the geography and the requirements of the place, that these companies will grow. And thus, with the company growing, the stocks will grow. So would one say that these are safe bets to place?
I mean, without going into the merits and demerits of each and every company, you have to look at the economy as a whole. And yes, these players are sometimes, they have very little competition in these markets. So if the economy continues to do well, you're going to see these companies benefit. And that's whether it's Salik, whether it's Dubai Taxi, they are benefiting from the boom, the number of people that are moving here, the population growth, all of that will benefit these companies. So that in itself makes sense. But then again, you have to look at the numbers and see whether it's overvalued or not, whether, that all of this is already priced in. That is something that you have to be very wary of because businesses can be great, but sometimes the stock markets have a tendency of overshooting on both ends. Sometimes if they look at businesses as something that are great, they will keep buying until it becomes overbought and overvalued. And then when people are fearful of businesses, they also drag the prices down to such levels that it becomes a very attractive buy. So you have to be wary of those biases that you will see in the market.
When you look at the listings, everyone gets very attracted. What advice do you have for people who may be getting guilty of FOMO? They may have missed out on certain IPOs, and now they just want to list on the next one because they think they've missed the boat with the previous editions.
Like I said, that's the wrong approach to doing anything. I mean, it's not. It's it's like lining up to buy the iPhone. It's going to be around. You will get the iPhone later. The same way the stock is going to be around. And if it's a good company, I mean, you will get an opportunity. Markets correct all the time. It's not like markets go one way up. And if the markets correct, when they correct, not if, you will get the opportunity to buy that stock if you like it. So even if you miss out on an IPO, I'm not a big fan of IPOs. I think it becomes, you're rushing into something, and then there are always times that it can get overpriced. So I think it's all. I prefer to going in the secondary market, looking at the numbers, and then deciding whether it's a good opportunity. Because when you have a lot of money chasing a few IPOs, they will list at premiums, but it's not always the case. There are times when IPOs globally, for example, IPOs haven't done as well. So I mean, that cycle will be there. So, and you will get the opportunity to buy that stock. If, for example, Dubai Taxi, I'm sure if the market's correct, when market's correct, everything falls. Good, bad, ugly, all the stocks will fall, and you will get the opportunity to buy them. So I don't think there's any need to rush into something. The act of FOMO itself is a bias, and a good investor has to learn to identify his or her own biases and act accordingly. Otherwise, you will always get caught into different traps. So I think that's something to keep in mind.
Abhishek, just like gyms where, people tend to come in with the year-end plans that from the new year onwards, I will go to the gym 7 days a week, 24 hours a day and get fitter and everything. Do people also have a financial plan in a way where they reach out to you and say, Abhishek, from the next year on, I'm going to start saving. Help me with my investments.
I think it happens the other way, because people have that FOMO that, the entire year's gone and I didn't do anything. So I want to do something before the end of the year.
Oh, okay.
So I think, so it happens a little more like that, where, people say, 2023 is ending. I have these future plans and I did nothing about it. Let me do something now. So I think that I see that happening a lot, with my clients. So,
okay.
So I think that's something that also, with the IPOs coming right now, they could benefit from the pricing, could benefit from that rush at the moment.
Well, we do appreciate your time as always. It's certainly an exciting time for those of us that are interested and have a vested interest in the IPOs being released. Abhishek Dutta, we do appreciate your insights as always. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Abhishek Dutta there here on Kitch and Neeil on TSB, TalkSport Business. And how have you gone with the IPOs? Are there certain IPOs that you have invested in successfully? Are there perhaps some that you missed out on that you would have liked? Let us know, 0586861000.